Hey everybody, it's Safi and Marco Dish Out on Movies, the only movie review show on YouTube to review movies in terms of food. It's just Marco here once again, and I just thought I should do this short video about me having watched Easy Rider. So, in trying to watch movies that will help me with my past life memories, I've been trying to, pick out movies based on intuition alone and just being like, you know what, that movie, there's something about it, I have to watch it because I probably watched it before and it'll probably help me out. This was one where, I looked it up and this came out in July of 1969, so this might have been the last movie that I saw in theaters. So I thought it would be very significant to watch that movie, and maybe it would help me, remember the last part more, because that's the part that really needs to be remembered the most as of now. And I watched this movie, and, this first part will just be like a review. It'll be a review of the movie. Yeah. This movie, it was okay. It was just okay. I guess it would impact me a lot more if I was around in that time at this age. But it was okay like that. It's so underwhelming because, it's such an infamous, iconic title and movie, and, the soundtrack. And it's always so, disappointing when you watch these famous movies and you're just like, yeah, that was fun. Because this movie, I will say, the main thing that I would say was the best part was the soundtrack. Okay, the soundtrack was really, really good. It was really good music. I thoroughly enjoyed the soundtrack. However, the movie itself was hardly anything happened in this movie. It's about these two motorcycle guys just traveling the country, and hardly anything happens. And I know that sounds like a shitty complaint, like a Gen Z type of complaint. I like movies where, there's not a lot of plot and it's all about character, but wow. It was just kind of there. I was like, when's something gonna happen? I just got through watching a boring Saw movie, and now I have to watch a boring motorcycle movie. It seems like a lot of it is about, promoting the lifestyle of, just people, living how they want and being motorcycle guys, and I like that. I appreciate that, but I want a plot as well. I want there to be a story. I don't just want it to be there's two guys on motorcycles, dude, and they're riding around, dude. That was just, I didn't like it, okay? You can have that. You could have a movie about a guy who just likes to paint fingernails all day, and that's his way of life. But you don't actually just want to have the movie about him painting fingernails all day, do you? No, that'd be boring as shit. And it's the same thing for this movie, where it's this is basically a simulator. A simulator video game of being a motorcycle guy from the 60s. Which is fine. Again, it's just people living a life, There's one part in the movie where it starts to kind of go somewhere and it actually feels like a movie. And that's when they meet up with Jack Nicholson and they pick him up and they go along with him, and then they go to the small town, And this is what I'm talking about. They go in this small town like restaurant and they literally just sit there for 10 minutes while while these town rednecks are like shit talking them and saying all this shitty stuff about them, and then they leave. And it's like, that's an example of like, this movie could have been a movie. You know what I mean? It could have been a movie. And instead it was just a movie. And I also really like the motorcycles. I love the American flag motorcycle. I think that that's obviously like an iconic like movie vehicle. And then they get beaten up in the middle of the night by these rednecks, and then Jack Nicholson gets killed. And probably the best part of the movie to me was when Jack Nicholson was talking that night at the campfire. He's saying like, you guys are free, and because you're so free, you scare people who aren't free. And so when they get scared, they get dangerous. And I thought, that was a really, really, like, that whole scene was like an A+ scene. And I was just wishing that the rest of the movie was like that. Like, that scene alone made the movie go up as high as it did on my rankings. But then, of course, the movie goes back to just them riding around on motorcycles, and I guess there really was a stereotype back then of like motorcycle guys being these dangerous people, and like everyone was scared of them. But to be fair, there are really terrifying motorcycle gangs, and so I don't think that fear is entirely unwarranted. I just wish that like the movie would have had like a story that would have like assisted in this narrative, like a story of like, I don't know, like people chasing them across the country or something. Like, I don't know, just something besides like, oh look, there's a song that comes on, they're riding on motorcycles, they go to a place, they eat food, they get on their motorcycles, they go to a place, they eat food, just over and over and over again. But it wasn't bad. It wasn't terrible. Like, it was so well made. And I was just wondering, like... this one guy right here on Letterboxd, he has it correct. He said Jack Nicholson carried the movie for 30 minutes. I get what it was saying, but it's just kind of meh. That's the perfect review. I shouldn't have even said anything else. I should have just ripped off this guy on Letterboxd, Ang Sheed. I think he's got like a picture of like fucking Ron from Harry Potter for some reason on his profile picture. But that's a good review. That's exactly this movie to a T. And then at the end, these rednecks kill them, and it's like, okay, whatever. Like, I know that was supposed to be like a message, and it was supposed to, be a big message at the end and be a big shocking moment, but, it's just whatever, like, whatever. So, yeah, I wasn't really a huge fan of this movie, honestly. I really wanted to like it. I thought it was going to be great, but it was just good. It was just okay. In fact, I'm going to re-rank it right now because as I'm talking about it, it's getting less and less. Yeah. So in terms of food, it's really tough because I don't want to give it something too harsh because it wasn't bad. Like, it wasn't a bad movie. It just wasn't great. Should I put it below Ben and Arthur? No, I'm not going to do that. I don't want to look that stupid. I think that this movie is kind of like a frozen chicken pot pie. Like chicken pot pies, like I used to eat them all the time when I was like sick or whatever. But there was this one time where I ate it and there was this really like chewy piece of meat. And ever since then, I've just been really grossed out by like eating chicken dinners that are frozen because I'm so I hate it. That's probably one of my biggest food pet peeves is when, I chew a piece of meat and it's chewy and there's like pieces of bone or fat in it. That it just grosses me out like so much. And so like this movie's like a chicken pot pie in that it's very, very simple. It's just there. You can take it or leave it. It's a very important movie, but I don't really care because it's not a great movie in my opinion. So, I don't really care. Like, I'll never watch this movie again. Sorry. So yeah. That's how I would rate this movie. And now for the past life stuff. So, when I went to sleep, I had a couple of dreams that kind of blended together, and it was really hard to tell, like, what was what and what was going on. There was this part where I was, like, in this mansion house or something. It seemed like a very LA or California type of house. It was, like, on a mountain or something. Or on a hill, and there was like a party going on, and there were like drinks everywhere. Like there were just drinks sitting around on all the tables, like for people to take and drink, and there was ice in them, and so there were some of them in these glass cups, and they were like purplish pink, and then there was one drink that was different, and it was in a martini glass. And it was like a clear liquid, but it had ice, it had a straw, and it had like a green leaf, maybe like a mint leaf, and that was the only drink that was different, and I was thinking about drinking it, but then I decided not to. And then there was this thing where, like, dreams are really complicated sometimes, and they're really confusing and hard to decipher, but then there was this part where it was definitely on the house where he was killed. It was on Celio Drive for sure, and I saw like a white van like backing up towards the house. It was in like this dirt road going up. And it opened up, and there were like 4 people in black clothing. And then the door closed, and it just went away. Like that was all that I saw in that dream last night. So, I don't know if that had anything to do with that, or I don't know if that's a memory or what, because it's such a small little tiny like piece that you can't even really say that like it's a full on memory, because it's like nothing really happened. It almost seemed like a fantasy. It just seemed like I don't know, but it was very weird and random though. I mean, I didn't. It was very random to see like this house in this area, in this van. It just came out of nowhere. So that might be something that happened. I don't know. I really don't know. Because it's a struggle to try to put together like the final the big picture, the big puzzle, and this movie unfortunately didn't really help, but I did have that dream, those 2 like kind of pieces of dreams, and yeah. And also I would like to announce I will be reviewing Hell's Kitchen, the new season, just for fun, just for funsies. I'm really excited about it. I think that, it's nice to have something to review every week, like a TV show that comes on every week, and, I was really missing MasterChef Junior this year, because it's so fun to laugh at that show, honestly. And then I know I said I was going to keep on reviewing DC movies. It's just, I'm having a lot of trouble being motivated to watch Aquaman. Because the whole reason why I never supported that movie to begin with is because I didn't want to support anything with Amber Heard. I mean, Amber Turd. So, even watching it now, I feel like I'm supporting her. And I don't want to do that at all because she's one of the worst human beings on the planet right now. At least one of the worst female human beings. So, yeah. Anyways, please like this video, comment, tell me what you think of Easy Rider, because I'm sure there's going to be people who say, it's really good. And I'll be like, good for you. Like, I wanted there to be a movie that went on, and there wasn't, and so I didn't like it. That's what happens. I need movies with a plot. Oh yeah, and I also should mention, it's pretty embarrassing, but the whole movie, I thought that Peter Fonda was Robert Redford. So, the whole movie, I was thinking that the movie starred Robert Redford and Dennis Hopper, when really it was Peter Fonda. It's just because, I never really watched movies with Peter Fonda. And, so, yeah, I thought he was Robert Redford. Because, there was a part, too, in the movie, I think, where there was, a part about Native Americans where they're, show some respect because you're sitting on the land of Native Americans that they used to own. And I was thinking, that's something that Robert Redford would say. That's not something Peter Fonda would say, at least, I don't know. So, that's something that's pretty funny. And please subscribe to our channel if you'd like to see more honest movie reviews. Goodbye, everybody. See you soon.